Peace and blessings. My name is Kim Martin Raymond, and welcome to another edition of How Now, where we talk about how to live in the now. I am excited about this show as we're moving towards the end of 2020 and heading into 2021. It's going to be important for us to talk about getting ourselves prepared for it, not just physically, but mentally. How are we going to go into this new year? Are we going to go in with carrying old baggage, or are we going to go in with a new perspective and a new mindset? So I'm excited about this episode. It is entitled Me and My Shadow. And I'm excited about my guest who is here today because she is, what can I say? She is a dear friend. She is my sister. The blessing of doing this podcast is that I have been blessed to know some wonderful and powerful people in my life and in my circle. And this young lady who is joining me today is one of them. She is the epitome of that. And I'm going to do as I do in each one of my episodes, give her an opportunity to introduce herself to you in her special way. But before I do that, like I said, she's been a longtime friend. She has been closer to me than any relative that I can have. I love her. She is a gift. She brings a lot. And there are not many opportunities when you have somebody who not only walks with you, but holds your hand and doesn't leave you behind. She walks with you and makes sure that you get to where you need to go. So I'm blessed and honored to have her on the show. And at this time, I'm going to have her go ahead and introduce herself. Sheronda.
What a beautiful introduction, Kim. I feel incredibly honored because I feel that way about you. So the fact that you feel the same way about me is a total and complete blessing. I thank you for having me on the show and for trusting me with your space. Thank you so very much. My name is Sheronda L. Barksdale. I am a life empowerment coach, and I specialize in motivation, shadow work, having a vision for your life, making sure people are going forward and living their most authentic life. That is very important to me. That is where my work begins and ends, with finding your authenticity. And then we're going to go through the whole process and helping you remain in that space. So I'm thankful to be on this platform today.
Awesome. Thank you again so much for being here with me, Sheronda. Again, it is truly a blessing to have you here. And we're going to talk about some things that are going to help us to prepare as we are going into this new year. And It doesn't have to start then. It starts right now. That's the name of our show, How Now. We're talking about what's going on today. So we're going to talk about some things that will help people move through things that are going on in their life right now. But before we get started in that, let's give me a little background about how you started in life coaching.
Well, Kim, I think I've been a life coach before I knew what life coaching was. Right. I've always been that support for friends. I wasn't somebody that you come to just for the gossip. People came to me because they knew that there was going to be a solution. They wanted to talk about, how do I get through this relationship? How do I get through school? Why am I having so many troubles with my mom, my dad, and things like that? So I've always kind of been that person. And so over time, I realized, I think I want to be a life coach once I found out what life coaching was. So that's kind of what did it. It's my nature. Some things are natural to us. Look, you're not going to see me out there skiing. That's not me. Right. I'm not going to be out here operating on nobody. But life coaching, yes, that's my thing. That's who I am. And it's a total blessing to be able to identify who you are, right?
That's right.
That's what people are out here trying to do. What am I going to do? Who am I? What's my career? So for me, is life coaching. I breathe it, smell it, eat it, and I'm here for it
today. That's it. And you're absolutely right. As a life coach myself, we are, we specialize in creating spaces, just like this platform, just like the platform that you have for AYE. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. I mean, we want to create spaces for people to be able to hear themselves and for them to be able to express what's going on. Sometimes you don't hear it until you talk about it. or you start uncovering some
Right.
things, you start peeling back the layers, and that's what we're here to do. And that's wonderful that you've identified that gift and that you've taken it a step further and made it your career, have made it your purpose. And that's, you know, where we
Yes.
all hope to be able to do, to live out our purpose. And you're doing it so
Yes.
beautifully through AYE. And AYE is authentically your expressions, and
Yes.
that is the name of your business.
Mhm.
And tell me a little bit about AYE and what it means to you.
Yeah, I was going to throw that in real quick. AYE is authentically your expressions. And the reason that came to me as a business name, I believe, is because authenticity is what makes life grand. The truer you are to who you are, the easier it is to live. So many people are struggling with life because they don't know who they are, or they made a decision to marry someone because somebody else said that's what they should do, or they saw somebody else married, so I want to get married too, but it wasn't authentically who they are. Even the person who they married or the job that they have doesn't truly represent the core of who that person is. So when I decided to do authentically your expressions, I wanted to create a space where people can learn themselves.
Yeah,
Who am I? Isn't that what's happening a lot right now with
yeah,
COVID-19? People are trapped. They're not traveling and being identified by travel. They're not being identified by where they took the kids to, play soccer or all these things. Now they're trying to figure out, wait a minute, I don't have this stuff in front of me. So who am I? So AYE, authentically your expressions, is an opportunity for you to learn who you are, your most authentic self, and to express that beautifully.
I love that. That is a beautiful culmination of where we are. Just like you said, in this pandemic, I think that it's been difficult. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there.
Mhm.
Some people can't wear masks because they can't take off the mask that they're wearing
See?
because they've been living, you know,
Mhm.
a lie.
Mhm.
They've been living behind the facade for so long that
Yes,
now that, you know, it's time for them to wear a mask and to protect themselves that way, they're fearful of being able to be they're fearful of being exposed for who they
absolutely.
are. And we're seeing a lot of that. We're
Yes.
seeing people being exposed for who they truly and
Mhm.
authentically are. And some people don't like what that looks like.
Mhm.
Some people have a lot of demons that they have to conquer, that they have to face. And
Yes.
that's a wonderful segue into what it is that you do with regards to shadow work. So talk to
Yes.
us a little bit about what shadow work is.
Absolutely. So the shadow is a concept that was actually derived by Carl Jung. He's a psychiatrist many, many moons ago. And so what he said was the shadow is a part of the subconscious. It's a part of us where we kind of push back all of our memories, all the things that people said were bad about us, all the things that made us uncomfortable when we were in our childhood. Well, we know that the subconscious doesn't disappear, it goes with us.
Okay.
So these things are carried with us throughout our lifetime. So if there is some level of pain, if somebody told you, you talk too loud, you talk too loud, you talk, if that's what they heard over and over again as a child, then they learn to soften their voice
That's
and they're
right.
really, really quiet. So, but when they become adults and people are like, I can't hear what you're saying. Their voices, so then they feel insecure using their voice. And that's when we start talking about chakras. And I do some balancing of chakras and aligning of chakras too, because now this person doesn't know how to use their voice and project their voice. So now you have an underactive throat chakra or possibly blocked throat chakra. So now we have to do the work in helping you to have a voice. It shows up as multiple different ways, the ways our parents treated us. If you grew up with a parent that said you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, you're fat, or you're ugly, you're ugly. You're hearing that over and over again. Well, a lot of times people try to push that in the back of their head, like, I dealt with that. That was in my childhood. But their whole adulthood, they're having eating disorders. They're exercising excessively. They're dieting excessively. They don't have any form of self-love about themselves. So these things manifest. So when we do shadow work, that's what we go get a hold of. We go back to that younger self and do that inner child work. Let's talk about what happened. What did you hear as a child? What did you hear over and over again? And then we talk about, well, guess what? Your parent may have heard the same thing. We
Right.
expose them to that space, that there's a reason why that came. It's not to excuse people and it's not to say that it didn't hurt, but it's to get you an objective view of what actually might have been going on during that time. So when we had abusive parents, they were probably abused as well by their parents. It comes through. as our shadow. So then we begin to work that thing, get an objective view so that you could take your power back over that situation and be able to say, that happened, but that does not control who I am as a man or a woman in my lifetime.
That's right. My
Mm-hmm.
goodness. You know, so it's something powerful. It really is.
It
And
is.
and I mean, we look at it in extremes because we know that there have been people who have been
Mm-hmm.
physically and mentally abused.
Yes.
And I love that you even say that, you know, it can be those little things that we were told as a child, and it doesn't always have to be, you know, the end result doesn't always have to be that, you know, I was abused
Yeah.
sexually, I was abused mentally, I was
Yeah.
abused physically. That doesn't
Yeah.
always have to be the instance. It can just be something that was said to us in
Mm-hmm.
passing
Yep.
that resonated and stuck with us. I say it's
Yep.
interesting that you use the example of someone talking about talking so loud.
Mm-hmm.
I talked so loud when I was young,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I was told, you know, you talk so loud, take it down a little bit, you're too loud.
Mm-hmm.
And I found that in my adult life, I tend to talk a little softer. And people are
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, speak up a little bit, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to find that voice again. And every now and
Yes.
then you revert back a little bit and you have to kind of remember, wait a minute, I'm doing it
Yes.
again, because it's something that you were conditioned to not do.
Yep.
And so it just becomes a part of you. And so it
Yeah.
doesn't always have to go to that extreme. It can be something as simple as somebody telling you something like that, but it sticks,
Yes. Yes.
you know?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's important because one thing that we've learned is that, you know, the cages
Mm-hmm.
that capture people are not made of iron, they're made of thoughts. And that
Mm-hmm.
was something that I heard recently, and it resonated with me because it is, our mind is so powerful,
It absolutely is.
and it
Mm-hmm.
holds so much, and traps us into thinking that we can't move. It keeps us stagnant. It makes us almost
Yes.
immobile. So to
Yes.
be able
Absolutely.
to do that shadow work, to be able
Yeah.
to go in and face those demons, to be able to go in and look at what it is that's going
Mm-hmm.
on inside, to be able to move us forward, that's part of the growth,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And that's one
Yes.
thing that we talked about. We talked about that, the whole cycle where we talk about crisis of going through, you know, going through fear, going through learning, and then going through growth.
Yes. And let me say, the majority of people I deal with, it is trauma. The majority of people is trauma. Because like you, I'm sure you didn't have to go through your whole childhood in order to figure out you need to speak up some. You
Right.
know, sometimes people, they hear little things and they take it in, but then they learn how to interpret it differently as an adult. And they never have to go through the whole process of shadow work of, well, what'd your mom say? What'd your dad say? Those are, you know, because I always try to tell people, they're like, do I need to do shadow work? Do you think you need shadow work? You know, some people think that they,
Right.
just because someone said to them, oh, you should do shadow work. Everybody should do shadow. Everybody does not have to do shadow work. Shadow work is definitely that thing, though, that you do when you're having some kind of roadblock in life.
Mm-hmm.
You're struggling with a consistent, intimate relationship. You keep dating over and over again, and you haven't met that person. It seems like something's just not clicking. Something's not happening. That's when we start doing shadow work. You know, that's when we start touching those parts, because there's something in your subconscious that said, you're not worthy. So you don't see yourself as worthy. So you're not dating people who see you as worthy either, because you don't see it yourself. So those are the places that we really, you see what I'm saying? We touch
Mm-hmm.
into those places because there are people, like I said, there's some things that we can heal beautifully through. There's a lot of stuff. Thank God. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes, so
But
that's
there's things
interesting.
that we have to do some serious hard work, because a lot of people, especially within the Black community, they heard a lot of stuff about themselves
Mm-hmm.
that weren't so nice, you know, and so that's the work that we're doing.
Yeah. So I'm sure you've had, since the pandemic hit, I'm sure that there has been there's been an uptick in the number of clients that you've had, because, you know, when you're confined to a space and you're forced to look in the mirror, you're forced to slow down and
No.
really start addressing some things that you kind of put to the side because of the busyness of life, you allowed to,
Girl.
you know, keep you from facing those things. How has it been with your clients? What are you finding? How are you finding people coming to you, in what space?
Girl, it is so interesting. You have never lied when you said uptick. People are in the search. And usually I do lives. You know, I do a lot of lives where I just talk about different things that may be going on. And then people it's clicking in people's head to say, ooh, yes, I need that kind of help. Or, ooh, I didn't even think about that. That's what my problem is. Or things like that. They're realizing just through me talking, just through creating platforms and opportunities for people to hear about what's going on out here and how we can heal through these things. That's how I've been getting a lot of clients, Kim. Oh my goodness, they are coming in droves, and I'm thankful. Number one, of course, I'm thankful to be working. You know,
Yes.
we
Amen.
go ahead and give God glory. I'm thankful
Yes.
to be working. But
Yes.
what I'm even more thankful for is that people want to be better.
Yes.
Oh, do you understand how that drives me, how that keeps me going? That keeps me, so motivated. I'm warmed by it. Every time I get off of a session, I go outside and I kind of pace my backyard, just thanking God that
Yeah.
this person has entrusted me with something that has happened in their life. And they have come to themselves and said, this has got to be better.
Yeah.
Life has got to be better than this. I'm not enjoying what I'm experiencing right now, and something has to give. And so that's what they're coming to me with, and that's the work we're doing, and they're doing it beautifully, girl.
Yes.
They are
Yes.
doing, I'm watching people's lives change. I see them come in the first session, they're crying and in tears, and by the end, these faces are bright.
That's
They're
right.
smiling and they're thankful that life is better. It's been amazing.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's a big part of it. A lot of people are finally beginning to invest in themselves. And they're
Yes,
finally going out and seeking what I can do to be better. And it's not that, you just came on the scene a couple of days ago, a week ago, a month ago. You've been
right.
doing this work for years. And it's taken
Yes.
something like this to get people to a space of saying, okay, wait a minute, now that the world has stopped, we've always heard, I want the
Mhm.
world to stop. I want to get off. It's just spinning too fast. And then it finally
Yes,
stops. And then people don't know what to do with themselves. But
right.
it's been great to see people finally saying, okay, everything has stopped. Now I have some time to really look into and dig into this self-care and start to
Yes,
discover some things about myself because I'm looking in the mirror this whole 2020 thing and I'm seeing some things that are not really
yes,
where I wanted them to be. And
yeah,
so you talked about platforms, and one platform that you have is called AYE, Shadow Work and the After Work. And
yes.
it's a wonderful platform that you have on Facebook
Thank
that
you.
gives ladies and gentlemen an
Yes.
opportunity to come in and to just have a space to have conversations and to bring things up. Tell us a little bit about that space.
Yes. So AYE shadow work and after work definitely is for men and women. I have male clients, y'all.
Yeah,
They are out here doing the work.
yeah,
Y'all heard that? These men are doing the work. So that's an opportunity for you to come and learn more about shadow work. So what I do on a regular basis, daily basis, is just kind of pump things through there that's about shadow work, things that are about self-love, things that are about affirmations, different quotes that are going to support you on your journey. I just want to create a space for somebody who just looking at the person who may not have the money right now to invest in a life coach. Maybe I can't afford weekly payments right now. So here is a platform where I can come and get information. Every Sunday we meet from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on a Zoom call. Everybody who's in that group, they have the opportunity to come into the Zoom and we talk about specific topics each week. It could be self-love, it could be fear, it could be guilt, different things that we're dealing with internally. And then when they're ready, they come to me and they say, you know what, Miss Sheronda, I'm ready to go ahead and invest in a life coach. Or even if they don't do that, they come to workshops. We have opportunities to do workshops. We just did one that was called Releasing Mommy Daddy Pain. And so I had several people show up for that one, and we really got into the work. But I always tell people ultimately, when I get to work with you one-on-one, that's where it feels a little bit different. When you're able to invest in yourself and do that one-on-one work, I get to find out about you. The group coaching is beautiful. I've watched people's lives shift just from that. I've seen it over and over again. But if you need a little more work, I'm here for that one-on-one too. That's a beautiful platform, and I'm glad you're a part of it, Kim.
It is, and you're absolutely right. I have an opportunity to sit in on some of those group sessions, and they are powerful. And she's right. I have seen lives change. I have seen people have, those aha moments, those epiphanies. That's
Yes.
been something that's wonderful. And then I love the little segments that you do where we, share some information, or she, give some additional information regarding shadow work, and we have a discussion about what we saw and
Yes.
what it meant to us. And that's something that's wonderful to experience. And then, don't forget about that homework. Okay, she gives homework,
Yes,
people.
I do.
She
Hmm.
gives homework, and it's not something that's mandatory, but it
Right.
gives people an opportunity to dig a little deeper, to go a little further,
Yes.
to make it personal. Because when we
Yes.
make it personal and we take ownership of it, then we can start looking within, we can start authenticating that thing, and we can start being more transparent about what is actually happening. And we need those spaces to be able to connect, to be able to see that we're not doing these things alone.
That's right.
We're not by ourselves. We're working together, and it's just such a beautiful space. So I
Mhm.
definitely want to make sure that you check out AYE Shadow Work Any After Work on Facebook, and we'll give those you know those ways to connect a
Yes.
little bit later on, and we also her website as well, because we want people just to continue to have those spaces.
And let me say real quick too, Kim, you hit on something. That space allows you to hear that you're not alone.
Yes.
Being in a group setting, you get to hear stuff that other people have been through, the epiphanies that they're having, and it kind of triggers something in you. Sometimes we think we're the only ones going through it when we're sitting around in the quiet of being in quarantine.
Right.
I can't go anywhere. There's nothing open. There's nothing to do. I don't want to get sick. I want to be home. Come to that page. Come participate in the Sunday Zoom meeting, because you get to hear other people who are thinking like you and who've been through something similar to you. And also, when you speak, you inspire as well. When you share your story, you inspire others. So that's a amazing platform for that. I didn't even expect that. That
Right.
was not one of the things I even considered when I felt the urge to open that space. I didn't know how much that was going to impact other people's lives. Isn't it beautiful?
It is fabulous, and just like you said, and it's worldwide. That's
Ah,
the beauty of this Zoom and things opening up in this manner, because
yes,
we may have done things on a smaller scale, we may have done
right.
things locally, we may have had workshops and things that we did here in the Atlanta area, and
Yes,
now we can go all over the country with the platforms that we have, just like this
yes,
show, just like her platform on Facebook. There are opportunities that we have to bring others in that we may not have been able to reach. So as
yes.
technology continues to boom, as these platforms continue to boom, it makes a space for us to be able to do that.
It
Now,
does.
we talked about shadow work,
Mhm.
and I know that is something that's personal and near and dear to you. Share with us something that you deal with regards to shadow work.
Oh, absolutely. Where do we begin? Should- Let me say this before I go into my personal. Shadowware is one of those things that when you lift up the first layer, there's another layer. Then
Yes.
you lift up that. So every time you do a little bit, but it's not because there's so much wrong with us. It's because we're ascending.
Yes.
The higher each level God's taking us, the next rung on that ladder, the next rung reveals some things that we have to get rid of. So one of the things I had to get rid of a lot was guilt. I've dealt with guilt a whole bunch in my adulthood, just feeling guilty about almost anything. If I couldn't show up the way I wanted to show up, I felt guilty. If I didn't do something the way I thought I should have done it, I felt guilty. So I had to go dig a little bit deeper. Where did that guilt come from? Why do I feel so guilty about everything? And so my mother was kind of a criticizer. She was doing her best, as parents are doing, but she was trying to help me get it right. But I always felt wrong. You see what I'm saying? Instead of me feeling like, oh, you just want me to get it right, I felt more like, oh, I'm doing something wrong all the time. So my mind, even though that wasn't her intention, my mind interpreted as I'm wrong.
Right.
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. So everything I did into adulthood, transitioning from being at home, going to college, going into getting a job, every time something happened, I felt this enormous amount of guilt. And I had to go through the process of telling myself, girl, just cut it out. You are worthy of any space that you enter into. You do not have to feel guilty about who you are. If you make a mistake, you say, I'm sorry, and you find a way to correct it. But I was almost paralyzed because of guilt. I almost couldn't participate in anything or do anything because I was afraid I was going to do it wrong. So that was one of those places that now I'm so boldly walking into places like what?
Yes.
What we about to what we doing? What we about to do? Look at me be fumbling over chairs and everything. Pick the chair up. Oh, y'all all right? Everybody safe? Okay, so what we about to do now? I'm gonna bust in there wide open now because I feel less guilty. I feel worthy. I feel like I have something to offer the world that isn't incorrect. So that's one of those spaces I had to work on shadow work.
It is fabulous. And the reason why I asked is because, as life coaches and as healers and people who create these spaces, we are still a work in progress ourselves.
Absolutely.
And so, to be able to share those things and to share that transparency and authenticity, which you do so well, it helps it helps others to transition. It
It
helps for them to be able
does.
to feel comfortable coming into that space because they know that you're coming from a space of growing and ascending yourself. And so
Yeah.
you're on the journey together. So it just makes it all the more worth it. And
Yes.
so, like I said, shadow work is something that is definitely necessary for some and coaching for others. And
Yes.
so, those platforms are available. And
Do, do you know how I set myself up naming my business Authentically Your Expression?
how'd you do it?
Do you? It's a setup. I didn't even realize it because it forces me to be true to who I am and all time. I can't fall back into old habits, Kim.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like God was like, here, I'm putting you up here, spotlight. And so the light is on and people are paying attention. So I have to be authentic to say I'm struggling in this area right now.
Yes.
I have to because would I be representing authentically your expressions if I'm just pretending like I've got it all right?
No,
Not at
you
all.
wouldn't be authentically
I
you.
wouldn't be authentically me.
That's right.
So,
That's right. I
mhm.
love it. I love it. And like I said, I think this is something that's important as we're going into the new year that,
Yes.
we do a lot of self-assessment, that we do a
Yes.
lot of self-care, and this is part of the process. So as I do in every episode, tell me how you're living in the now and some possible anecdotes that you can share with our listeners.
Absolutely. Well, for me, living in the now, the moment that everything popped off, I realized I have to establish a norm in my household.
Mhm.
I wasn't going to allow this COVID-19 to come and disrupt us, have us living in fear, make us feel like we were paralyzed by a thing, because I trust God even more. It's just one of those things where I had to rely on spirit to say, you're going to be all right. And I had to trust that space. Everybody's going to be fine. Whatever y'all go through, I'm here for you. So I just created a norm. My son started going to school from home. So we made that a norm. He wakes up, he gets his breakfast. We just made, and you know how it is with me, is structure. I'm
Yeah.
not the most structured person in the world now, but I knew for children that is necessary. So I created a nice structured pattern. He knows what to expect. Isn't it? That's important right now with
Yeah.
COVID, right?
Yeah.
People don't know what to expect. So I wanted my family to know what to expect. We do things like last night, we watched Christmas movies all night long. Just sitting around doing family time. We do things like we're gonna go see the lights. What's
Yeah.
it, the Festival of Lights over there at Life University. We've
Yes.
gone down to the little safari down in South Georgia. So we were in the car. We were still look, we were still 6 feet from everybody. We were still in quarantine in the car, but we got to see the animals and we go to the park. We have a beautiful backyard, doing things that still feel normal, but that is keeping us safe. I wanted that to be normalized. I did not want my family feeling like their whole lives were rocked. Mommy's walking around scared. We put our mask on when we go to the store when necessary, and we do what we have to do. But I think it's important for us just to keep it as normal feeling as possible, along with your tools, meditation.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful opportunity for people to really begin to get in meditation. What meditation does is it doesn't stop you from thinking. What it does is it makes you aware of your thoughts. You're able to pay attention now when that mind starts straying away from your guided meditation, and you're able to say, oh, come back. I need to start listening again. And then when you're not in meditation space, when you're out in the world, you'll find yourself catching thoughts.
Yes.
That's how the meditation helps. It'll start helping you catch thoughts. Things like grounding. I did a live today and in our group, I went out to my tree. I showed them my tree, my grounding tree in the backyard. Usually I go barefoot. I go in my backyard and ground so that the earth can absorb some negative energy I may be feeling, negative thoughts. But it's cold. So I'm not putting my feet out there on the ground. It's not happening. So I said, I can do this with a tree. Well, come on, Sheronda, we can revise. You see what I'm saying, Kim?
Yes.
You just use what you have. You find ways to make it work. Put my hand on that tree, start saying my beautiful affirmations, and I can almost feel the energy being pulled from me into the tree and down into the ground and into the earth.
Yeah.
Finding different tools, burning candles, using sage, doing exercise, anything that's going to help keep you moving, keep your mind limber and moving and all that stuff. That's what we're out here doing.
I love that. I love that. And I love that you said affirmations. That's something that we're hearing a lot now. People are affirming. People are putting sticky notes all over their homes and in their cars, and having those constant reminders of things that are going on. But I love that you're saying that you're doing those things, and you're doing those things right now.
Yes.
You're creating spaces for your boys to operate in right now.
Yes.
And until things change, they're able to know that there's some level of normalcy within their home. And that's important. That is important. And I'm so grateful that you shared that.
Yes.
Okay. So before we wrap things up, definitely I want you to tell them again where they can find out information about the programs that you provide, and where they can find out about the group that you have.
Absolutely. So the easiest way, let me keep this real simple for you. You're going to go to Linktree. I have a Linktree. It's linktr.ee. And you do / is it / Kim? It is / right?
Yes.
/ Sheronda. linktr.ee / Sheronda. Everything is there. You'll find my YouTube. You'll find my IG business page, my IG personal page, and you'll find the shadow work group. And anytime, just like this podcast right here, I'll have it linked there as well. So that anytime you want to find me, you want to hear anything that I've appeared on, any articles that I've been in, go to that Linktree and you can find me everywhere. Stalk me.
And with that, I'm gonna say, hey.
Yes, we love Authentically Your Expressions, honey.
Yes, Authentically Your Expressions, otherwise known as AYE. Hey, that's why we say hey, because that's what it's all about. It's about authentically expressing yourself. And so again, go to Linktree / Sheronda. That's linktr.ee / Sheronda, and that's SHERONDA. And I'll be sure to have that, when we're advertising for this show, so that you'll be able to get in contact with her. And Sheronda, I thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kim.
For sharing this space with me, for talking a little bit about shadow work and the work that we're doing to help people to live in the now, and to take each day one step at a time.
Absolutely, yes.
And that's going to help us to be better. That's going to help us to ascend. That's going to help us to grow. That's going to help us to live in this now.
Yes.
So I thank you all for joining me today for another episode of How Now, where we talk about how to live in the now. And until the next time, I say peace.